Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I'm on chess.com, and I just got paired up playing a 5-0 game. Let's see what black throws at me. Oh, alright. Scandinavian Defense. I'll go with knight f3. In pre-move mode. I guess they were anticipating just knight c3 right out of the gates. Okay. Let's put my pawn on c4. They're pretty content with just fianchettoing, I imagine. There's not a better place for the queen knight. I might want to invest this tempo. Yeah, let's try for a queen. Well, kingside fianchetto combating their eventual attempt to deploy the queen bishop. Okay, let's just get on with castles. And on pawn takes, I'll probably just take with the knight, uncover my bishop and make knight c6 difficult. And on this, I thought I could maybe push the d pawn. Yeah, where's that knight going? Let's find out. Let's try to rattle this knight's post. Have a little bit of space now. And yeah, I want there to be a pawn there. So knight b4 is going to strike at this pawn for a third time. How much of a bother is that really, though? Maybe a little bit of a bother. I can move my knight anywhere and be defending this. Let's see. Knight here, bishop to f5, striking at c2. I feel like that shouldn't be too much of a bother. Let's see. You know what, just to prevent knight to f5, I wanna make sure. No, let's go with this. If I did knight to h4, there's this move and then a knight into this square. At least I'm stopping c4. I'm expecting bishop f5. It's getting a bit tactical now. On bishop f5, where do I go with my bishop? Probably f4. Knight c2, rook c1, and then maybe knight to d4. It's turning a bit sharp. I could then, at that position, try for knight c4 and look for a d6 push, and this bishop will be crunched. Let's see if this happens. Knight c2, rook c1, knight d4, knight c4 with d6 in mind. Black has to come up with something fast, I believe. Otherwise, if I get an a3 and he's forced to go to a6, that can't be good for black. This is a passed pawn. I should be looking to push it. So, yeah, and I mean, that would be a really nice move to get in. I'm winning material immediately if I could get this in successfully. Need a little bit of support, though. Okay, let's just put this on straight away. The knight is within checking distance. Let's play here. It's a bit of a bug to work around this knight. Do I have anything better? Anything unprotected? I don't think so. Let's get a move in. b5 is likely a critical line. I do have this move. I like that I have knight e3, at least throwing a punch at something. And that would be a really weakening move. So right now the threat is d6, just winning the game. I have this defended enough. Okay, and here we are. Let me have a look at just d6 real quick. d6, pawn takes, knight, pawn takes, bishop. I'm winning the exchange, am I not? I don't know if I want to give up my light square bishop, though. d6, pawn takes, knight, pawn takes, bishop. Bishop takes, rook. I'm going to shy away from that. I'm giving some extra weight to this fianchettoed bishop. I don't want to weaken my light squares. So, yeah, we're going to run it like this. I'm sure the computer will be disagreeing with that decision, but okay. I could go for an approach that simply challenges black's best piece, knight to e2. That comes to mind. This may still be a threat. Let's see how they... Yeah, that's probably why they're going to think here. I actually have a lead on the clock. I like that. All pieces except, what do we have? Just 2 pawns exchanged. Interesting. Okay. Where to go with the knight? Knight a4, move forward, strike at c5, or challenge this monster? I'm going to go for simply challenging black's best piece, and I still am on this. So knight takes, queen takes, I'm fully developed, and I'm throwing this punch and this. This pawn also has some fire on it. Some pressure by my rook. Maybe try to stay ahead on the clock. They are at the 2-minute mark. Did rattle off the first several moves. Seemed to be all pre-move. What's black going to come up with here? Might as well get that pre-move in. Save a couple tenths of a second. Let's deactivate that. Yeah, I want to see it a bit more clearly. So what is black really going to do? I'm threatening to take the knight and win a pawn. Okay, I guess they have to give up their best piece, and okay, so bishop there. Okay. What about f3 for a moment? Or simply rook to d1. Let's go rook d1. Yeah. A knight on c4. Now that b4 is in, so yes. Take with the king. Knight c4. Okay, bishop to d3, I guess. Bishop d3, queen f3. I have a minute edge. Rare. Let's get a quick move in there. Bishop takes. Then I'd be on the c5 pawn. Knight on f5. This is an extremely flexible piece from e3. My first thought was c4, because that is a reliable home, but f5. f5 is a strong post. Trying to hunt down my a pawn. Isn't their house on fire, though? Yeah, I think it is. Starting with this. Knight f5, queen g5. Wow. You're really just going for the throat. Well, not really. You're going pawn hunting. Let's see. Queen g5. I guess you have to defend by playing knight to e8. Right? I also have knight h6. Or capturing this pawn. A lot of interesting options. I don't think that this could be so bad. Okay, and maybe I just push my pawn. He is passed. Okay. And what about a rook here? Cutting off the queen. So on this, the knight can't move and be defending that. So now there isn't a knight e8 move. So I think this has to be played. Mate in one threat. No tricky sack on f2. So I'll take here. And they're just running into mate now. I'm on the rook. Time pressure clearly a factor as well. Knight on f5 combined with a queen on g5. It's usually a big problem. And, I mean, in my eyes, I see it as, I don't know, close to the level of close to the worth of a rook. Yeah. What to say with this one? Let's see. Let me go into the analysis board for starters. Okay, here we go. This is the analysis board, so I could paint the board. Yeah, okay, so I mean they were just content with just these standard moves, and sure they've played this position type many times before. But yeah, I mean this is maybe most common, but I I didn't want to obstruct my c-pawn as it was played in the game. I wanted my c-pawn to contribute, so this is another approach, knight f3, d4, c4, and only then knight to c3. And I'm just wondering if it's going to hold as an advantage for me for the opening stage, at least, due to this space, but I'm just wondering if there's any issue with investing an additional move to open up a new door for my bishop. Because as mentioned, I wanted to make life difficult for black to finish, complete development with the queen bishop. So what does the computer want to do right around here? Just bring the bishop out to e2. I guess I could go to d3 as well, and it'll be a similar evaluation. Okay, so many different setups, but I went with something. Fianchetto. c5, castles, and now it suggests capturing. Okay, now it's going over to knight c6. Half pawn advantage. Okay, knight c6. Did I react well? Okay, I did d5. Pawn takes, c takes. Yeah, I mean, we are definitely going into a pretty critical line. Knight b4, I mean, I'm throwing a punch. What is black doing? They're reacting and throwing a punch right back. I played knight to e5. No great advantage, but okay, bishop f5, and now it wants to go at queen f3. So is there an issue with what I played here? Oh, it's even suggesting g4. That's not a move that immediately comes to mind for me. One of those, you're going all in type moves. 4 weaknesses created. There's already 2 holes. 2 more created with g4. Okay. That didn't enter my mind. Is there an issue with what I did? Bishop f4. Simply getting a new piece in the ball game. Apparently there is. Now it's close to equal. Suggesting bishop d6 here. Okay, let me just have a look at this g4 move. Yeah, definitely getting pretty sharp there. g4, bishop c2, and now queen to d2. Oh my god. I'm just kind of cringing here because we have this gap over here on the king side, so many weaknesses, and my queen is now in my bishop's way. I don't know. Does anybody else cringe when they see this kind of stuff? All right. Interesting. g4. Let me just take it out maybe one more move. What is it suggesting here for black? Bishop d6. And now f4. Okay. Wow. Yeah, all right. Definitely a line I did not, a move I did not consider. Knight c2. g4 yet again. You know what? In this position, that is something I should be considering. Because now this bishop has a certain restriction placed on it as soon as the knight goes to c2. g4. Have the knight and queen covering that. Interesting. All right. Well, okay, no issue with rook to c1, but yeah, it's a move to keep in mind. Knight d4. It likes knight c4. And now after b5, it just wants to take the pawn. Oh, taking the pawn and then following up with d6. Getting the material back, and now these pawns are split. Yeah, and in some variation, I may feel a little bit more comfortable with giving up my light square bishop in order to pick up some material. Okay, I could have captured on b5. I went with knight to e3, which is still a fine move. And after b4, I guess I'm just better here. It does like my move, knight to e2. Happy about that. And takes, queen takes, is the follow-up. What does it want to do here? Bishop to e4 plus 2. That's pretty serious. Just giving me a pawn. Knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes. Yeah, you don't do that as black. You try to stir up some trouble. Well, you don't give a pawn away for no compensation, so captured first, only then bishop to e4. I could just take the bishop and then play my knight into f5. Unprotected knight. Move the knight, discovered attack, and he can't move, he's pinned. I'm on the bishop and the knight from this, with his last move. Okay. What did I do? I got my rook involved. Okay, it's still holding an advantage, but not nearly as convincing as that line. Taking it immediately on e4. Bishop takes, king takes. I'm just wondering how I could have better converted this position once black went pawn hunting on the queen side. I mean, this really should be punished. I jumped in with knight f5, queen takes pawn, and I should just be playing queen g5 straight away. Queen g5 after this, I wasn't 100% sure what to do here. I guess I could just shove my pawn. That did run through my mind. Yeah, I should be doing this because, later on, once the queen picked up a second pawn, then the knight could maybe move to a forward square, and the queen would be there to defend against the mate threat on g7. So maybe more to the point, just looking at some more direct stuff. So this is at least the second instance now where I could have played a bit more directly, and it's the better choice. Queen g5, threatening mate, knight e8, and then push d6, looking for d7, and then crashing through here. This is just that's the greatest attacking combo in the game. Queen and knight, close to the enemy king. So, what did I do? I just scooped up a pawn. It's not bad, but not best. And then I push d6, still holding an advantage of +2. Rook d4 it does like. And after this, queen g5, and that's going to be the ball game. Queen g5, g6, and probably queen takes knight. It's already calling for a mate in 7. Suggesting queen takes f2, that's when you know it's real bad. On pawn takes knight, what are we doing here? Ooh, I don't know if I would have seen this. I was intending rook takes f5, which is still winning, but looking at the most direct stuff, rook g4, that would have been a nice finish. Have these last pieces helping out. Rook here, king f8, queen h6. And the king cannot run because of this guy. And then we have mate. That would have been a cool finish, but as it played out, rook there just hung the rook on d8, and he had resign here. Rook has to block, and I would take. Okay, interesting game. Got to see a center counter game, a Scandinavian defense. That's how I knew it. When I first was learning opening names, I knew it as the center counter. It's more commonly known as the Scandinavian defense nowadays. Anyhow, feel free to leave any feedback to this video, as usual, in the comment section below. And I hope you got something out of it. That's all for now. Hope you're having a great day. Take care. Bye.